What if the most dangerous thing about life isn't failure, sickness, or even death, but success in the wrong assignment? Imagine climbing the ladder of achievement only to realize when you reach the top that it was leaning against the wrong wall. Picture waking up each day, going through the motions, checking the boxes, and doing everything right, only to look back years later and feel an ache in your soul that whispers, "This wasn't it. You made it, but you missed it." There's a quiet emptiness that haunts those who ignore the deeper question, why am I here? It doesn't scream, it settles. It seeps into the silence between promotions, vacations, and celebrations. It follows you home from a job that pays well but costs you peace. It shows up in moments when the world applauds you, but your heart feels strangely quiet. We've learned how to make a living, but many have forgotten how to make a life. We're taught to chase success, security, and applause, but rarely to pause and ask if those things truly align with who we are meant to be. And when people don't know their purpose, they settle. They settle for jobs that drain them, relationships that suffocate them, and routines that numb them. The tragedy isn't being busy. It's being busy doing what doesn't matter. The real danger is not dying, but living disconnected from the reason you were born. Purpose is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Without it, we wander. With it, we come alive. This isn't about inspiration, it's about survival, because the most painful thing is not when a life ends, but when it never truly began. Not because it lacked time, but because it lacked meaning. Every human being enters the world with a unique fingerprint and a set of gifts, passions, and potential that no one else can replicate. Deep within, there is a longing not just to exist, but to matter, to live a life that counts for something, to wake up with clarity and go to sleep with peace, knowing that the hours spent between morning and night had value beyond a paycheck or a task list. Yet for so many, that desire is buried under the weight of expectations, distractions, and the relentless pace of survival. From a young age, we're taught how to function in society, how to get good grades, follow rules, pick careers, and earn a living. We're handed a map to success, but rarely asked if that map leads us to fulfillment. We learn how to build resumes and accumulate things, but not how to discover who we really are. People often find themselves years into careers, relationships, or routines only to feel an aching void, a sense that they were meant for more, even if they can't quite name it. It's not about being ungrateful. It's about being unfulfilled. Now, there's a growing epidemic that doesn't always show on the surface. It's not physical, but it's deeply real. It's a quiet kind of desperation, a sense of drifting, of living reactively instead of intentionally. Days blend into each other, milestones are reached, and yet something inside remains untouched. That something is purpose. Without it, even the most outwardly successful lives can feel hollow. Purpose gives direction to talent, meaning to struggle, and hope to uncertainty. We were never meant to live on autopilot. Life without purpose is like a ship without a compass. It may move, but it will never arrive. True purpose isn't about being famous, wealthy, or popular. It's about alignment, knowing who you are, why you're here, and living in a way that reflects that truth daily. It's about significance, not status, meaning, not noise. This is a conversation worth having, not later, not someday, but now. Because time is moving whether we pay attention to it or not. And each day lived without purpose is a day of potential lost. There's nothing more tragic than reaching the end of life and realizing you never truly lived it on purpose. The question is not just how long we will live, but how deeply, how intentionally, and how meaningfully That answer begins with the courage to ask, what am I really here for? In today's world, it's easier than ever to be busy, but harder than ever to be fulfilled. We are surrounded by noise, distractions, and demands that constantly pull our attention in 100 different directions. We're praised for staying busy, for hustling, for doing more, but seldom are we asked whether any of it actually matters to us. People are often celebrated for climbing ladders, but rarely questioned if those ladders are even leaning against the right walls. This is the problem so many are facing. They are living, but not living with intention. The truth is, many people are just going through the motions. They wake up, check their phones, rush to jobs that no longer inspire them, come home exhausted, and repeat the cycle. On the outside, everything may look fine. Stable job, decent income, a social life. But on the inside, there's a quiet discontent, a dull ache that whispers, there has to be more than this. And yet that voice is often ignored because facing it means confronting hard questions. It means admitting that success, as it's commonly defined, might not be enough. And this is just about unhappiness. It's about misalignment. When someone lives outside of their purpose, even the most impressive achievements feel empty. They may be good at what they do, but not called to it. They may be needed by others, but not nourished by their work. Over time, this leads to burnout, restlessness, and even regret. Life becomes a series of tasks instead of a meaningful journey. The real challenge lies in the way society defines worth. We're often told that our value comes from performance, how much we produce, how much we earn, how much attention we receive. But when people try to live up to these standards without connecting to a deeper reason why, they begin to lose themselves. They become characters in a story they never wrote. The scariest part is that this kind of life can go unnoticed for years. It doesn't always come with warning signs. People can smile, achieve, and even inspire others while still feeling deeply lost inside. That's the danger, living a life that looks full but feels empty. The challenge is not that people aren't doing something with their lives. The challenge is that many are doing the wrong things, or even good things, but for the wrong reason. And in the end, the cost of ignoring purpose is far greater than we realize. Purpose is not something that falls into your lap overnight. It's not found in a job title, a bank account, or the praise of others. It's something deeper, something rooted in identity, intention, and truth. Discovering purpose is a journey, not a destination. It requires honest reflection, not just about what you're good at, but about what truly brings you alive. Many people confuse passion with purpose. Passion is what excites you. Purpose is what directs you. Passion can fade and shift, but purpose is steady. It's the why behind everything worth doing. To begin that journey, one must ask hard questions. What are my natural gifts? What problems stir my heart? What do I feel drawn to create, solve, build, or heal? These questions are not meant to intimidate, but to awaken. Too often people silence these thoughts because they fear the answers will require change. But clarity doesn't come from avoidance, it comes from engagement. You have to be willing to go deeper than the surface of routine and survival. You have to listen to the quiet voice inside that already knows you were made for more. Purpose is often revealed in patterns, in the experiences that shaped you, the lessons you've learned, and the unique blend of challenges and strengths that only you carry. Your story isn't random. The highs and lows, the victories and wounds, they all point to something. When people take time to connect the dots, they start to see that their life has been leading somewhere all along. Living with purpose doesn't mean having every detail figured out. It means making intentional decisions that align with who you truly are. It means saying no to things that look good but don't feel right. It means pursuing fulfillment over approval and meaning over comfort. Purpose doesn't always show up as a dramatic calling. Sometimes it's found in the quiet work of serving others, raising a family, mentoring someone, or building something of value. It's not about size, it's about significance. When someone finds their purpose, life begins to shift. They stop competing and start creating. They no longer need to be everything to everyone. They become focused, grounded, and more alive. The journey may still be hard, but it's no longer empty. There's clarity, there's drive, there's direction. And even in the face of struggle, there's the quiet confidence that their life is counting for something beyond themselves. There comes a moment, sometimes slowly over time, sometimes in a sudden realization, when a person can no longer ignore the gap between how they're living and who they were meant to be. That moment is not always dramatic or loud. It might arrive in the quiet of a sleepless night, during a conversation that hits too close to home, or in a season of change where old patterns no longer fit. But when it comes, it brings a clear and often uncomfortable truth. This is not the life I was meant to live. Moment of awakening. The roles we play, the routines we follow, the goals we chase, suddenly they don't satisfy the way they once did. What once looked like success now feels like noise. It's not that everything is falling apart. It's that something inside is demanding more. That more is not about material things. It's about meaning. It's about the realization that time is passing and the deeper questions can't be postponed any longer. This is where the turning point lies. Some people push that feeling aside and return to what's familiar, afraid of the unknown. But others choose to lean into it. They begin to peel back the layers of who they've been told to be and start uncovering who they truly are. It's not an easy process. It takes courage to admit that what has been working externally might not be working internally. It takes humility to start asking new questions and exploring new paths. But something powerful happens when a person chooses to stop living by default and starts living by design. The fog begins to lift. Decisions become clearer. Priorities shift. Energy that was once wasted on trying to be everything to everyone is redirected towards something focused and fulfilling. Life begins to feel less like a race and more like a mission. That moment of clarity may not change your circumstances overnight, but it changes you. And once you see it, once you feel that deeper calling, you can't unsee it. You can no longer settle for a life that looks good on the outside but feels off on the inside. It becomes clear that the cost of ignoring purpose is too high. That key moment isn't just a personal revelation. It's a line in the sand. From that point forward, there is no going back. Only forward into a life that finally makes sense. When it's all said and done, the true measure of life isn't in how much we acquired, how many people knew our name, or how busy we stayed. It's in whether we lived with meaning, whether we showed up as our authentic selves, embraced what made us unique, and poured ourselves into what truly mattered. The tragedy isn't in making mistakes, starting over, or even failing. The tragedy is in never discovering who we were meant to be. It's in living a life full of activity, but empty of direction. Throughout life, we are given opportunities to pause and reflect, to ask if the path we're on aligns with who we really are. Sometimes we ignore those moments because they require us to change. But ignoring the call to purpose doesn't silence it. It only delays the peace and fulfillment that come with answering it. Too many people reach the end of their days with regrets, not about what they did, but about what they never pursued. Dreams that were shelved, gifts that were hidden, and lives that were never fully lived. Living with purpose isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's not something only the bold or extraordinary get to experience. It's available to anyone willing to stop, reflect, and begin living intentionally. Purpose doesn't demand perfection. It simply asks for alignment. It asks us to be honest about who we are, what we value, and what legacy we want to leave behind. No matter how far off track you may feel, it's never too late to make a shift. It may start with a small step, a new mindset, a decision, a deeper conversation with yourself, but every step toward purpose is a step toward clarity, toward peace, toward a life that feels right. In the end, we all leave something behind. The question is not whether we will make an impact, but what kind of impact we will make. We can choose to drift through life, reacting to whatever comes, or we can choose to live with intention, with meaning, and with a sense of calling that infuses even the ordinary with purpose. Because when we do, we don't just live, we truly live. And that is what makes all the difference. Now is the time to pause and ask yourself the questions that truly matter. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. You owe it to yourself to stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. No one else can fulfill your purpose. No one else can carry the gifts, the voice, the impact that you were created to bring into the world. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs you, fully alive and fully engaged in who you are meant to be. Start small if you have to. Reflect on what brings you joy, what burdens your heart, and what you do effortlessly that helps others. Pay attention to those moments when you feel most alive, most connected, and most at peace. That's often where purpose begins to whisper. Write it down, speak it aloud. Get curious about the dreams you buried because they felt too big or too far away. Revisit them. Ask yourself what's one step you can take today to start moving toward them. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, not just those who keep you comfortable. Read books, listen to stories, invest in conversations that stretch your thinking and open your heart. Purpose is rarely found in isolation. It's discovered through movement, connection, and courage. If you feel stuck, don't let that stop you. Feeling stuck is often the sign that something new is trying to be born. Don't run from that discomfort. Lean into it. Seek clarity. Be honest with yourself. The life you want won't be built by avoiding the truth. It will be built by facing it and choosing to respond with action. You don't need a perfect plan to begin. You just need a willing heart and the courage to take the next step. Every moment spent walking in alignment brings you closer to a life that feels fulfilling, grounded, and truly yours. Time is precious. Purpose is priceless. Don't settle for anything less than a life that reflects who you truly are. The choice is yours. Will you continue to simply exist, or will you decide today to live with purpose? The journey starts now. Take the first step.